Greens everyone, Sylvain Dance 98 back out again with another reaction. So I couldn't quite get it to center given how fast it was scrolling again across the screen, but anyway, we're now in the Heisei era of Kamen Rider, and this is going to be part 1 because this is like a 30-minute section. I'm going to be breaking this up in half. Anyway, let's get into it and see how they broke down the Heisei era for explaining it and bringing up, well, all of us up to speed.
In 2000, Kamen Rider would return inside of the Heisei era with a new hero, a new legend, in Kamen Rider Kuga. This was the first series in 11 years.
And it shows the updates.
The main protagonist in Kuga is Yusuke Godai, who finds an ancient artifact that allows him to become Kuga in order to battle the Gyorongi, or unidentified lifeforms. This was the final Kamen Rider season to feature only a single rider, as every season following Kuga would feature multiple riders. Kuga would also feature multiple forms that were different color swaps and featured different weapons. And this was also the first season to air alongside a Super Sentai season on the same network, leading to Superhero Time. In 2001, Toei released a direct sequel to Kuga titled Kamen Rider Agito, and this show features 4 very different riders.
Yep.
Shoichi becomes Agito, a magic-based rider whose name is Latin for move or keep moving. Makoto becomes G3, a mechanical and technology-based rider who's based off of Kuga and actually puts his suit on. Ryo is Gills, a biological rider whose armor actually grows from his body.
I can tell.
And Kaoru is the incredibly cool Another Agito. This was the final Kamen Rider season to feature the Ishinomori-style belt design. Also in 2001, the Ishinomori Manga Museum, named after Shotaro Ishinomori, opened in Ishinomaki, Miyagi Prefecture, Japan, to showcase some of the most culturally significant manga in history and to educate people on an art form that Shotaro Ishinomori himself loved so much. Even though Shotaro was gone, his legacy was well remembered, and the franchise he created was headed in an exciting new direction.
That's fair.
2002 brought Kamen Rider Yuki, a very popular season, especially amongst fans that enjoy having a lot of riders. Henshin! Riders travel to the mirror world via reflective surfaces, and these riders compete in the Rider War, a winner-take-all competition where the victor will be granted a single wish. Yuki is known for having a very unique style, and this series has a lot of cool attributes, like being the first season to use cards, and it was also the first season where riders had a device that activates and announces their abilities and attacks. This was also the first season to feature villain riders. It was around this time that the team at Toei started getting more experimental and creative with suit designs, as evidenced by the unique and elaborate helmet designs showcased within Yuki.
No kidding.
2003 was the year of Kamen Rider Phase, a show in which Smart Brain Org is trying to take over the world with Orphanox, who are the next stage of human evolution. They create 3 suits called Rider Gear, which are Phase, Delta, and Kaiza. Our main protagonist in this series is Takumi, who along with his allies would fight against Smart Brain to prevent them from replacing the world with Orphanox. Phase brought with it a dark, quality story, with excellent acting and explosive action, and 2003 was another great year for Kamen Rider. 2004 saw the release of Kamen Rider Blade, a playing card themed season featuring multiple riders that represented different suits from the card deck. Our main protagonist is Kazuma, who becomes Kamen Rider Blade after being ordered, along with Sakuya, by Board to fight against creatures called Undead.
That's blunt.
This series featured some really cool riders, including Garen, Chalice, Liango, and of course Blade himself. The show featured 2 intros, and the second intro looks cool, and you could tell their focus was just on making it look cool for the audience. But the first intro is genuinely hilarious to me, and it's really unique in its weirdness. Kick that napkin. Kick it. This was the first season.
Kick that napkin. Kick it. Just beat it up. It killed your mother. Beat that napkin up.
They have 2 intros since Skyrider.
True enough.
In 2005, Toei released Kamen Rider Hibiki. This show wasn't even originally designed to be a Kamen Rider series, and in pre-production many different themes were tossed around, including ninjas and yokai, but when Bandai demanded that the Kamen Rider name be attached to the project in order to sell more toys, the original themes would be dropped, and the character would become an Oni-themed Kamen Rider. By episode 29, chief producer Shigenori Taketera was fired, and this was unofficially attributed to low ratings and low toy sales. After the firing, there was a visible tone shift on the show, and it began to resemble a more traditional Kamen Rider series. Hibiki introduced a lot of unique things into the franchise, including the fact that there are no belts to henshin, and this is the only series with an instrumental theme.
Fair enough.
Kamen Rider, the first.
2005 would continue with Kamen Rider the First. Kamen Rider the First was a modern-day reimagining of Shotaro Ishinomori's classic original series. This movie took some liberties in regards to story, but ultimately serves as a creative and well-made Kamen Rider project that shows a lot of love and respect for the original series.
Seems like it. I mean, they got the suit design pretty dang good. Ooh.
2006 was an important year for Kamen Rider, as we would be introduced to the very first HD Kamen Rider series in Kamen Rider Kabuto. The series takes place 7 years after a meteorite hit Shibuya, and shape-shifting creatures known as worms emerged from the disaster. This show added a cast-off feature, giving a unique external layer of armor over the rider's base armor, something completely fresh and new to the franchise. This show is notable for having a lot of unique riders with varied story arcs. The main protagonist is named Soji, and he's very unique within the franchise due to being extremely arrogant most of the time. Kabuto is also very unique due to its food and culinary focus.
Jeez.
2007 would bring with it an absolute cultural phenomenon within Japan in Kamen Rider Den-O. Ryotaro is a huge wimp until he's possessed by the Taros, because they imbue their own personality unto him and even change his non-henshin look. Ryotaro travels with Hana and the Taros through time on the Den liner to fight against evil Imagins, and they also encounter Kamen Rider Zeronos. Takeru Sato, who plays Ryotaro, claims that the reason for the show's success was the comedic timing. Because the show was so successful, it would lead to a mountain of revenue for Toei and more crossovers than any other Kamen Rider series in history.
That makes more sense, given the henshin roll calls we've seen.
Following on the heels of Kamen Rider the First, 2007 would continue the anniversary celebration that the first started with the release of Kamen Rider the Next, a reimagining of Kamen Rider V3 with a much darker and more intense tone featuring horror themes. Like the Next, this movie introduced these characters to a new generation and put them in an interesting premise set in the Heisei era. Tsuburaya Productions actually helped with visual effects for this movie, and they are of course known for being the makers of Ultraman.
That makes more sense.
2008 was the year that Kamen Rider would take on a campy vampire theme with Kamen Rider Kiba. The tagline for this series was "Wake up, break the chains of destiny." This show takes place across two time frames simultaneously, being 1986 and 2008, allowing the audience to experience the cause and effect of certain story beats. Our soft-spoken protagonist is Wataru, an introvert who's a human and Fangire hybrid, and this is actually a huge part of the plot, where we would explore Wataru's family history and his place within the hierarchy of the Fangire species.
Oof.
This show introduced some really unique elements to the franchise, featuring Wataru's ghostly allies called the Arms Monsters, who provide Kiba with power-ups and live in a building that turns into a dragon. This show also introduced us to Kibat, a bat that bites Wataru's hand to facilitate his henshin. Although Kiba failed to achieve the same levels of success as Den-O, this show introduced fans to some fresh and interesting new things that had never been seen before within the Kamen Rider franchise.
Yeah, it would gain some attention there. Oh, jeez. Was that necessary?
In 2009, no Rider fan knew just how huge it would end up being, with several awesome projects to keep the fanbase happy. One of which was Kamen Rider G, a TV special meant to celebrate the 50th anniversary of TV Asahi, as well as promote Kamen Rider Decade. This special followed Goro, a sommelier who henshins into Kamen Rider G as he takes on the organization Shade. Kamen Rider G is a wine-themed rider who literally uses a wine bottle and corkscrew to henshin, and he even has a sword with a corkscrew attached to it. This special is often overlooked, but it brought the fandom something incredibly unique with a wine-themed rider, and was just one part of what would be a great year for Kamen Rider.
So, was it necessary to henshin and destroy the building that you're trying to defend by carving a G into it with explosions? That's my one complaint about this Kamen Rider.
In 2009, we of course got Kamen Rider Decade, an anniversary season celebrating 10 years of the Heisei era. This show had two catchphrases. One is "Connect everything by destroying everything," and "Heisei Rider 10 years early." Although the show only had 31 episodes, it was stuffed full of fan service and was focused primarily on making longtime fans happy.
That checks out.
This show exists amongst the larger Riderverse, where our main protagonist named Tsukasa, also known as the Destroyer of Worlds, henshins into Kamen Rider Decade, and he travels to the universes of other Heisei era riders as they are converging into one. He can even henshin into other riders from the Heisei era. Although Decade was a shorter season, the impact of the show was undeniable, as Decade would be featured in many crossover projects over the years.
ようこそ大ショッカーへ。
大ショッカー? 2009 also brought a huge team-up movie. In Kamen Rider Decade, All Riders vs. Daishocker. This project served as the official movie adaptation of Decade that gave the audience some additional context about Tsukasa and featured a team-up of every rider from the history of the franchise up to this point. In addition to all of the henshin riders throughout history, this movie also featured the nostalgic appearances of Tetsuo Kurata as Kotaro Minami, or Kamen Rider Black, and Toshiki Kachu as Shoichi Sugami, or Kamen Rider Faiz, as well as tons of classic villains from the franchise.
Hot dang.
When this movie released in theaters, it actually beat Harry Potter in the box office, earning over 2 billion yen, making it a huge success for Toei commercially and a memorable part of 2009.
Then why was I never told about this one? Sheesh. I need to watch that one. Oh god.
Also in 2009, Kamen Rider would have another chance at winning over Western fans with a new American adaptation titled Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. Using footage from Kamen Rider Yuki, this show aired on the CW television network during its CW for Kids programming block, but it was ultimately cancelled before the final 2 episodes aired on TV.
Kamen Rider.
Producer Aki Komine convinced Toei to let him make a pilot for an American adaptation of Kamen Rider in the same style of Power Rangers, and ultimately Ryuki was chosen for the adaptation due to the large quantity of riders and the fact that Ryuki has a female rider. Despite the show's cancellation, Dragon Knight actually won a Daytime Emmy Award for stunt coordination, and it's remembered mostly positively by the community.
Yep. Yeah, I remember it. It gripped me for the first few episodes and lost me eventually. It was just not my cup of tea, I guess, like, at the time. I might give it another shot, but I think I'd rather watch Kamen Rider Ryuki, the original, to enjoy the story beats that they have there. But we'll see.
There was also a Kamen Rider game released in 2009 that would lead to quite a few sequels and spin-offs, Kamen Rider Climax Heroes on PlayStation 2. This was a Kamen Rider fighting game commemorating 10 years of the Heisei era and featuring all of the primary Heisei riders up to this point. This game series has become extremely popular in the fandom, and it was another thing that made 2009 such an awesome year for Kamen Rider. But it wouldn't be the last. Also releasing in 2009,
Double.
a fresh take on the Kamen Rider formula, Double is a detective show featuring 2 people that share the same rider body, hence the name Double. The catchphrases for the show were, "We are the 2-in-1 Kamen Rider," and "This clinches it." Kamen Rider Double uses Gaia memory sticks to swap left and right side forms that also provide him with different color combinations.
That probably helped with the toy sales there.
Jotaro is what I like to call a detective's detective. He considers himself hard-boiled, although he gets called half-boiled through a lot of the show, something he's not a huge fan of. He's one stylish dude, and his surname Hidari means left, as he becomes the left side of Double's body. He constantly struggles to live up to his dead mentor's legacy, whose daughter Akiko becomes his landlady, and she has the personality of a young child.
Cyclone.
それってガイアメモリー？
Then we have Philip. He's the right side, and he searches for useful information and does a lot of research involving keywords to solve cases. He's definitely not what he seems, and his story has an excellent twist. Kamen Rider Double featured some excellent lead protagonists that are very easy to root for.
この日を待っていた。
This show also features Ryu, also known as Axel, who's a cool rider that's based around speed, and he eventually falls in love with Akiko. We also have Museum, one of the most memorable and interesting evil organizations in the history of Toku. This show has several loving nods to the creator of Kamen Rider, Shotaro Ishinomori, including Shotaro Hidari having the same name, the green and black color scheme reminiscent of the Showa era, and Kamen Rider Skull, a reference to the Skullman manga that Ishinomori created so many years prior.
Yep.
それがハードボイルだ。
This was the first Kamen Rider series to use the term Kamen Rider in English letters on the logo and in marketing, because before this it was always Masked Rider. Double will always be remembered as a cool, fresh, and well-written entry into the franchise.
What an image to end on. Yeah, this will be the first part of the Heisei era. Yeah, I like it. Definitely a few things I gotta try out. Definitely gotta try and track down a few of those Kamen Rider games. They do look fun to enjoy, even if they are retro, as it's called. But in the meantime, hope you guys are enjoying this. Please like, comment, subscribe down below if there's any of these series that you want me to try and react to either a few more clips from, try and see if I can find one that won't get me copyright blocked on YouTube to react to. Let me know down in the comments below if there's any that strike your interest. In the meantime, you guys take care. I'll see you all in the next video as we go on to Heisei Part 2 after this. But please like, comment, subscribe. Let's keep on building up this channel. Fight that algorithm. Get more of this good toku content to the outgoing people of the world. You guys take care. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!